How about them Cowboys? Yeehaw, Maggle! So, for the Dallas Cowboys, I had some expectations for them in 2022. And why is that? Well, they headed into last season, with a lot of changes to the team. And, I thought the season prior in 2021, they had a really good chance to finally grab that brass ring that every delusional Cowboys fan was trying to obtain. Super Bowl, NFC Championship, pal. And I thought it was their best shot. They looked really good in 2021. But once again, they found a way to let you down. So they went into 2022 with a lot of changes on the team due to the salary cap. They lost a lot of good players on that team. But despite all that, in an early season injury to Dak Prescott, they actually managed to do just fine. And when Dak came back at the end of October, they still stay hot. And they kept pace with the Philadelphia Eagles in the division race. And for the second straight season, they clinched a playoff berth. And because they beat the Philadelphia Eagles, Jalen Hurts was hurt. They were playing Gardner Minshew. They lost to the New Orleans Saints after they played each other in late in the season. There was a very small chance Dallas could have won the division. And not only they won, but a couple other things went their way. But of course, we're talking about the Dallas Cowboys here. They once again found a way to let everyone down. They found a way to fumble that up too, because they got their butts whooped by a wolf by the name of Sam Howell, and the Commanders in the season finale in the nation's capital. Like, how the hell do you do that, man? Like, did you fall asleep so bad in the night prior that you forgot there was a game? Like, how do you even do that? Like, what the hell? So anyway, they forgot what they forgot what happened in that game. They destroyed the Tampa Bay Bucks because, well, they were bad all season, and Tom Brady was already thinking retirement, unfortunately, because, well, I guess the next game after, the Cowboys did exactly what they always done in the playoffs, and that was choke. That same Dallas team that whooped on the Bucks was nowhere near to be found against the 49ers. Yes, the same 49ers that they faced the playoffs prior in the divisional round. They were nowhere to be seen in a game where the two teams were basically fighting each other in a stalwart battle. The Dallas Cowboys were nowhere to be seen, especially on offense, including that last awful desperation play. Like, I can't even explain what that was. But anyway, yeah, the Cowboys, once again, were that close to reaching the NFC Championship game and went down the shit again. So I know I'm being harsh on Dallas, but it's like all of you are setting way too high expectations for them, especially from their fan base. So they at least matched their season record at 12-5 last year. They at least make it a little bit further to the divisional playoffs. That's one step. But now, if you're the Cowboys, you got to make that next step. You got to finally reach the NFC Championship game. That's your goal for 2023. You have to get to the NFC Championship game for the first time since, what was it? The 1990s? That was the last time you were there. And then when you get there, maybe you give yourself a chance to get to the Super Bowl. I'm trying to help you out, man. I'm trying to help you out. But unfortunately for the Cowboys, they didn't help themselves out in the offseason. Looking at some of the team needs that I had for Dallas in the offseason, they had to retool both their trenches, the offensive line and defensive line, because they were expected to lose a couple of players in free agency. So not good for them. And they had to find a new starting tight end because Dalton Schultz was set to be a free agent too. And unfortunately for the Cowboys, they didn't have a lot of cap space. They didn't have a lot of money to spend for their players that are set to become free agents on those, specifically those sides of the ball. So looking at some of their offseason moves, they saved a little bit of money by releasing running back. Yes, their the running back that started it all for that era, that Dak Prescott, Zeke Elliott area, Ezekiel Elliott. They released him. But then again, for Ezekiel Elliott, his play was starting to dwindle like after 2016. So it's like, ugh. And then the tight end that I was talking about, Dalton Schultz, he actually went to the other Texas team, the Houston Texans. So, it was a little surprising that the Dallas Cowboys couldn't keep him on that cheap deal that Schultz ended up getting with the Texans. So, oh wow, a little surprising there. And they let Connor McGovern go to the Buffalo Bills. So now he's going to be protecting Josh Allen. And now that offensive line for Dallas is a bit weaker. They did re-sign a couple of their other key players though, like Lane Vander Esch at linebacker and the backup quarterback that was kind of essential in that early season stretch, Cooper Rush. So for them, he's been pretty reliable for them. Safety Donovan Wilson, edge rusher Dante Fowler, so pass rushing depth, and running back Tony Pollard via the franchise tag. I'm not too sure if he's already signed the franchise tag, but I assume he did. And then looking at some of their free agency additions, they made actually 2 early big moves in free agency. And that was via trade. They got a receiver by the name of Brandon Cooks from the Houston Texans. So he's going to the other side of Texas now. They gave away a 5th round pick and next year's 6th round pick. But the important thing for Dallas is that they have another receiver for Prescott to throw through. And more importantly, a good receiver. They also got corner Stephon Gilmore from the Indianapolis Colts in return for a 5th round pick. So much needed help in the secondary alongside Trayvon Diggs. They also got swing offensive lineman Chuma Agdoga from the Atlanta Falcons and running back Ronald Jones from the Kansas City Chiefs. So a backup for Tony Pollard, but in the draft, the Cowboys were okay, a little so-so. Defensive tackle Mazi Smith from Michigan. So a little bit of interior help on the defensive line. Tight end Luke Shoemaker from Michigan. So he's going to be the replacement for Dalton Schultz. Linebacker DeMarvion Overshawn from Texas. And edge rusher Vilami Vehoko from San Jose State. So these sound like solid additions to their defensive line. So when you look at this Cowboys offseason heading into their 2023 season, 2 things I took away from it. They solved the receiver problem, but not the offensive line problem. At least with the receiver problem, Brandon Cooks, I think he can fit seamlessly as another target for Dak Prescott to throw to. Because now, the thing with 2022, Michael Gallup took a little bit of a while to come back from the ACL injury that he suffered in the season prior. And it kind of took a hit on the Cowboys offense a bit. And they still didn't really have like a 2 or 3 receiver since they traded away Amari Cooper for some stupid reason. So now it gives the Cowboys a much better, at least a little bit of a better flow on offense. Now that you have three receivers like to go to, like 3 more flexible options. Now you have CD, Gallup, and now Brandon Cooks. However, the offensive line that's been like so good for Dallas these last several years, it took a hit. They let Connor McGovern go to the Bills, and now, like with tackle Tyron Smith having these injury problems, it's like, is this offensive line for Dallas starting to like crumble a bit? It's starting to look like it to me, because now if this offensive line isn't strong like it was. Prescott's going to struggle. Like that goes for any like NFL quarterback. If you don't have a really strong offensive line, you're going to struggle. And if this Dallas offensive line isn't strong as it once was in the 2023 season, Dak is going to struggle like hard. There are like notable examples of Dak faltering without a good offensive line. On the defensive side, I think Trayvon Diggs is going to benefit good with Stephon Gilmore on the opposite end. Now, Gilmore's a little bit older, but I do think he's still a strong, productive player at his age. He should be a good help to that secondary that needs it. Trade on Diggs. I think he can benefit by being mentored by Gilmore, because Diggs, he racked up a lot of interceptions, but the problem is he got frequently torched at times. So yeah, I think Diggs can benefit greatly from Stephon Gilmore. And looking at some of their key potential games in 2023, obviously you have the games against your own division, like Week 1 against the New York Giants, and probably the two big games against Philadelphia. I think those are the most important games in your schedule if you're Dallas. And then Week 5, the rematch against the 49ers. That's another big game that they should be looking at as well. So going into 2023, for all the things I talked about with Dallas, I think the biggest question has to be, with all the kind of like, I don't want to say like losses that they occurred, because they did at least add on to it. It's more so of a question of, can they trust Dak Prescott under center? I mean, yeah, you could say yes, but there have been times in the last two seasons where Dak Prescott has been so 50-50. It's, all that 50-50 booking, brother, that wrestling fans like to bring up so much. With Dak Prescott, like in these last two seasons, he has been so wildly inconsistent. Like 1 week he'll have a really good game, and then the next week he'll throw like interceptions left and right that he costs the team's games. And in these last two playoff losses that the Cowboys have had, Dak Prescott doesn't step up. Like, sure, he's played two really good defenses against the 49ers, but it's just like he just disappears. He just disappears against those really good defenses, like in those big moments that the Cowboys really need him. So if he continues to commit 50-50 booking, brother, I feel like it's going to be another wasted season for the Cowboys. So even though the Cowboys finished 12-5, and they lost against the 49ers in the divisional, I still think they have a chance to make the playoffs again for the third straight season. They still have a lot of talent on this team. They did add a good amount of talent in Brandon Cooks and Stephon Gilmore to help out both sides of the ball. You still have a strong offensive line. It's just a matter of, can Dak Prescott be consistent? Can he limit the turnovers that have plagued the team in the second half of the season? So that's going to be key to Dallas, like trying to compete with the Philadelphia Eagles and possibly even the New York Giants. And hell, even the Washington Commanders. Probably the whole division. So I expect Dallas to go 10-7. I do think they could possibly make the playoffs again. But again, it's just going to be a matter of, well, can the Cowboys, and how much longer can they trust Dak Prescott under center? And sure, he has that big fat contract, but at some point, you really got to wonder how much of this is going to last.